If markets are truly random, why do they so often move in ways that seem perfectly engineered to cause the most financial pain?
It's a question that challenges the very foundation of how we're taught to see financial markets. The conventional model tells us that prices are the chaotic, unpredictable result of countless independent decisions. And yet, the outcomes we see often feel anything but random. They feel deliberate, methodical, almost punitive.
You've probably seen a pattern like this one. Price moves steadily towards a clear, well-defined boundary. It then punches through, signaling to many that a new trend is beginning, only to reverse and reverse violently, trapping everyone who followed that initial signal. Now, a pattern this precise, that repeats this often, it makes you wonder if randomness is really the full story. At TRADEVERSE, we unpack the hidden dynamics that shape our financial world.
To get to the bottom of this, we first have to examine the lens through which most people view the market. It's a perspective that is fundamentally built on an assumption of chaos.
The typical approach for many is to layer a price chart with dozens of technical indicators. These tools, well, they're designed to find some kind of order in all that perceived noise, to try and predict what's next by analyzing what's already happened. The core belief here is that if you can just decipher these complex, overlapping signals, you can find an edge.
But there is a critical flaw in that entire methodology. You see, all technical indicators are, by their very nature, derivative. They are simply calculations based on what the price has already done. They are reactive, not predictive. And realizing this, well, that's the first step toward a completely different understanding of how markets really work.
So, here's an alternative idea. What if the market isn't a chaotic battlefield of equals, but is instead a highly structured game? From this perspective, price movement isn't random at all, it's engineered. The swings that look so chaotic are actually just the mechanics of a deliberate and very methodical process.
And that brings us to the central concept. The absolute key to understanding this game isn't found in indicators on a chart. It's found in understanding the market's constant, relentless search for one thing: liquidity.
So what is liquidity? Well, in market terms, it's just the availability of orders waiting to be bought or sold. Now, large pools of these orders, especially stop-loss orders placed by retail traders to limit their losses, tend to build up at very obvious technical levels, like recent highs or lows. For large institutions that need to move huge amounts of money, these pools represent a massive source of volume. It's what they need to get in or out of their own positions efficiently. The game then is all about hunting for these pools of orders.
We can actually see this theory in action by breaking down a very common market maneuver. It's often called a stop hunt, and it's a deliberate multi-stage process designed to do one thing: engineer liquidity.
Here's how it works. First, liquidity builds up as traders place their stop-loss orders at those predictable spots we just talked about. Second, price is deliberately pushed toward that zone. Third, the trap is sprung. The price pierces the level, which triggers a cascade of all those stop-loss orders. Now, to a breakout buyer, this looks like confirmation of a new trend. But for the institutions, this is the moment they can absorb that flood of orders. And finally, once their large positions are filled, they have no more reason to support the price, which leads to that swift, sharp reversal we saw earlier.
And this really reveals the fundamental disconnect, doesn't it? The exact same event is being interpreted in two completely different ways. What looks like a trading opportunity to one person is simply the fuel needed to make a move for the other. The illusion of a breakout is the very mechanism of the liquidity grab.
Now, understanding this logic, it doesn't give you a simple trading strategy. It's not that easy. Instead, what it requires is a fundamental shift in your perspective, from trying to participate in the story to observing the mechanics that are creating the story.
So on one hand, the retail view sees the market as random and chaotic, and it's often driven by emotional reactions to big price swings. It's about chasing moves that have already happened. But the institutional view is the complete opposite. It sees a structured, methodical system. It operates mechanically, not by chasing price, but by engineering the conditions needed to create liquidity for its own goals.
The very architecture of the market seems to contain an inherent deception. It presents illusions of opportunity that are, in fact, traps. But the key is that these tricks follow a logic, and being aware of that logic is the most powerful tool you have for navigating this environment.
You know, the principles of engineered liquidity and manufactured narratives, they're not exclusive to financial markets. It all raises a much broader question about the many systems we interact with every single day.
When the apparent chaos of any system consistently produces such methodical outcomes, it's worth asking, what unseen rules are truly at play?